Joining me on Startup Report today is Lee Arthur, the general manager of Blenheim Chalcot, who has just moved to St. Petersburg. Hey, Lee.
Joe, great to be here.
Good to have you.
The view.
Yeah, not bad. And we're neighbors. You're just over here in the 200 Central building?
Just down the street. What a great spot we landed in.
Yeah. Well, let's start with what Blenheim Chalcot is, and then we'll get into the good stuff, which is why you chose St. Pete. Venture builder. It's a really cool concept. I don't think we have a full-on venture builder in the area that I'm aware of. So what's a venture builder? So
venture building is different from venture capital in that we create the ideas rather than investing in a load of entrepreneurs and hoping some will work. With venture building, within our teams, we come up with ideas we think could be businesses, and then we explore them and over time turn them into businesses. So we create the idea, we invest in it, we build it, and then we support the team with a bunch of additional services that increases their probability of success. So if you think of venture capital, 80% fail, and they know that because they're betting on some knockout wins. Mm-hmm. With venture building, we're expecting the majority of them to succeed, and we're a lot more patient with the way that we grow ventures.
It's interesting. So when you think about new companies, the fuel for the first couple of years is what I call founder energy, right? It's the people who are just 24 hours a day. Now, when you come ideas first and you have to plug in essentially that role, leadership role, you probably don't have as much of the founder energy, but maybe you don't need as much because of the services and the support you offer. So how do you strike that balance?
That's a really good point. I think the great thing is we're a collective. Mm-hmm. So you're surrounded by entrepreneurial people who've maybe done it 5 or 6 times, but just are addicted to, that difficulty, that banging your head against a brick wall to try and find something that might be amazing and big. So it's quite an infectious environment to be in, to be that well supported. And then there's a ton of people who want to be entrepreneurs, but their mortgage and the family and kids hold them back, but their expertise in an area. So coming into a venture builder and being part of a senior team or the CEO is a much better solution for them. So that it's kind of that balance of this collective and us letting people who wouldn't be able to be entrepreneurs because of their circumstances go out and be entrepreneurs and be a bit braver.
That's great. So they get that sort of steady income, but then some of the upside equity-wise if things work.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's that, win-win.
Yeah.
And what we get on the back of that Blenheim Chalcot is great people who, know what they're doing, are passionate and entrepreneurial, but maybe wouldn't have had the chance before, and are willing to work in our structure, right? Which is we're highly engaged and highly supportive, and it's a collective effort. And being part of a collective versus trying to be this lone wolf entrepreneur is a different mindset.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. So, obviously the traditional wisdom is different people at different times of growth in a company. The ongoing cruising altitude CEO is different than the startup CEO. So what's do you have sort of a life cycle pattern that you follow when it comes to, we start here and then, do you eventually go for outside money, and then do you eventually pull your people out and hand it off to other people? What's the life cycle?
Yeah, so at Blenheim Chalcot, we've been building ventures for 23 years. We've built over 40. We like to be in control of our ventures so we can keep them in the strategic direction they need to be, because we are long-term capital and patient. But there is that gearing where, the people who love innovation and risk-taking and failing and aren't the right people when you're trying to optimize a business at a growth stage. So there's definitely a natural change that occurs in people. And then for us, we fund the businesses pretty much ourselves through Series A. And then from then on, we'll start to bring in strategic investors. An example is we have a payments API business, Modular Finance. And recently we let PayPal and FIS, 2 big finance companies, into the round with us because it was time to bring in their expertise because they were at that advanced level of scale. So you definitely see that with the people.
That's great. And how complementary is the mix? I'm assuming there's some cross-pollination of the types of business that you start.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So we have key areas of competency at Blenheim Chalcot. So we have our investment criteria in creating businesses. And so we're very strong in fintech, payments, lending, education, but we also are building great competency in entertainment rights. So we own a fantastic cricket team in India.
Cricket team,
super profitable. Cricket in India is bigger than your American football and basketball put together. And so we're building a great business there over and above sport. We have a great music AI business, which lends to independent artists. And this goes back to our collective, where it took its business model from one of our fintechs. So a number of interesting areas. So we think market first. Where's a big market opportunity, and what are the Blenheim Chalcot capabilities and talent that we can apply?
That's great. And with all these moving parts and all these different skill sets that you need, how I'm assuming you're intentional about skill set development and as you're bringing in these people. So do you have programs or things like that to train and stand up these young CEOs? Or
yeah. So one of the core cultural traits of Blenheim Chalcot is addicted to learning and super curious. So training is like one of the biggest added values that we give to our companies. So we have a service called Red Team. So for those in cybersecurity, the Army will know Red Team gets embedded on exercises to help and train and support and spot vulnerabilities and make sure you succeed. So our Red Team training, we have all of our CEOs every 2 weeks get together and are running through different training that they need to scale their business, do their investment pitches, think about their strategy and cadences. And like I say, going back to our collective learning from and with each other, the answer's in the room. Like, we've got an ecosystem of brilliant people. There's not many problems we haven't come across.
Right.
There's someone we know can't fix. So we enable that through our training.
That's great. And as we look at that ideology, coming from the roots of the company, you have some big consulting chops in there, and then some sports elements as well. Can you talk a little bit about the origins of the company?
Yeah. So Charles and Manoj, who founded Blenheim Chalcot, both are ex-Monitor consultants, which eventually got bought by Deloitte, and also there's a number of other Monitor consultants in the team who are highly innovative and created the first business 20 years ago. And then around that, we've also got a lot of ex-Capital One in our crew. So hence the fintech angle and building the competency in payments and lending there. So thinking about problems in a systematic way, like thinking about the whole ecosystem.
Right.
I mean, we talked about that, Joe, and what you're doing. And then where are our competencies where we can really succeed?
That's great.
That's the history, really.
And I said sports because I conflated one of your companies, Hive, which has a coach manager.
So the interesting thing is, so we've got a cricket team, and then Hive Learning, our EdTech, grew out of coaching capabilities of the England rugby coach.
Yeah.
He became very famous and a Sir. He was Sir Clive Woodward, because we beat the Aussies in the big World Cup, and we're very proud of that. But the way he did that was through learning. He got everybody in the team adding ideas and learning from each other. And one of their big smart learnings was that their fastest guys kept getting grabbed by loose shirts.
Right.
So then they redesigned the rugby shirt to make it super tight. So you see all the rugby players now muscly, super tight shirts. And that came out of that learning culture and saying, well, if you stop these loose shirts, they wouldn't be able to grab hold of me.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons that we won the Rugby World Cup, those kind of little learning moments.
And just for the record, I made that mistake on purpose to give you an excuse to say you beat the Aussies.
Thank you.
So St. Pete, you're here in St. Pete. We're super.
Yeah.
That makes me very happy. That's great for the community. You've already started hiring RJ Jocks. He was one of my old colleagues, and you've hired him, and he's doing a great job. So why St. Pete, and what's sort of the plan for bringing more companies here?
Yeah, so we've been in New York for 3.5 years, bringing our companies to the US and scaling them. And we made the move to Florida and specifically St. Pete in and during COVID, when you realize the world isn't ever going to go back to normal again. And so you can be anywhere. And St. Pete, you've got this great base of talent and universities. You've got this ability to travel easily across the US, and then a great lifestyle as well. So when you put that all together, it's kind of mad not to be here.
Yeah.
And then you've just got the coolest city. We talked about how it reminds me of, say, a Camden in London, where it's got this great personality, which fits Blenheim Chalcot.
That's great. And so far, Hive's here and growing. You have another company that's just on the cusp of being here.
Yeah. So Hive is an ed tech company. It helps companies fix their culture and improve it. And we've got, I think, 10 people now. We're still hiring into Hive. English Score is an English education business. We're just going to be hiring the first salespeople here. They'll be selling in locally into Latin America, get your English testing scores up and running. Two other businesses, Phosphor, will be putting people on the ground. Phosphor helps companies improve their marketing spend using machine learning. And then another big company is Contentive. Actually, I want to introduce you to them, a B2B media company that helps connect technology buyers with purchasers in big companies. So they're the next four. And then we've got two other businesses, one in Denver, who I keep encouraging to come and see me and see if we can get them going here too, and another based in Boston.
That's great. Well, the more the merrier. So
yeah.
Wonderful. It's a great concept. It's a nice it's a nice thing to bring here. And I know that the folks locally who make it into one of these positions and get to experience some of these opportunities to even move from maybe where they came in at through the Red Team program and into these other opportunities. It's just it's an action-packed, high-quality environment to be in. And once you're in, I think kind of the possibilities are endless for doing cool stuff.
But it's so true, because our CEO of Hive started as an entry-level person in Hive and in the customer success. So did Fred, who's the US GM. And you just see that across companies because we do so much training and development. Many of our CEOs and C-suite, started and stay with us, because if we can't find something in one company, there's something else that will fit them. And because they're constantly training and learning how to build businesses, in the end, they can't help but fit into a good role and the right business for them. So it happens all the time in our businesses.
That's great. So, what's just to finish up, what your next 3 months look like personally? What are you going to be working on?
What the hell am I doing? So we're getting the English Score business. I think stood up here is important for us. And then our training, we're just expanding the scope of our training, which I told you is called Red Team. So it's not just the CEOs, it's all the senior managers and high potentials, and just really doubling down on training for all our companies and getting them as capable as possible. And
a little possible teaser, we've even talked about maybe doing that for bringing Red Team out to St. Pete.
Yeah, and we'd love to just help any entrepreneurs out there with some of the things that we do that we think are the basic building blocks and may seem obvious to us, but may not be obvious to other entrepreneurs.
All right. Red Team St. Pete coming soon.
Yeah.
Lee Arthur, appreciate the time, and we'll keep connecting.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.